with lemon inside.
With lemon to spice it up. No. You are veered off the narrow way.
Beautiful.
You are now into sexism, and you are now bordering towards the words coming.
Oh, this is
beautiful.
Beautiful. I absolutely love that distinction, because I think that it is one of the biggest points of judgment that the world puts on the church today, where shepherds and pastors have crossed the line with a member, crossed the line with somebody who's supposed to be their sheep, and when you go out there, it's one of the commonest things you hear about. And I've had shepherds who say that I go to visit my sheep and the mother is behaving funny. The mother thinks that I'm up to something, or the sheep herself is behaving funny. She thinks that I'm up to something.
Of course.
And I tell people that it's important to draw the line. Yeah. It's important to draw the line. And I like the way you've put it. You've put it very, very clearly that to be tender is not being romantic.
No.
The two things are not the same. There's a difference.
No.
To be kind to people, to be gentle, to not be harsh, to treat people with to be considerate towards people. Because Jacob was being considerate of the children by moving at their pace, to be considerate of people, to be sensitive to what people can handle and what people cannot handle. It's very different from being romantic. And I really need everybody who's watching to really get that point, to understand that being tender is not about being romantic. It's not about being in dark corners with a sheep, or being, even being alone with your sheep is not really something that you should just do anyhow. You need to be careful. So we are not talking about becoming romantic and becoming a lover boy or a lover girl. We're talking about being tender. Yeah. Bishop, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I don't know. I think maybe you want to take some questions from the audience at this time. But I want to do something quickly before Bishop takes questions, which is that I want to remind everybody who's watching that you're watching this show. In fact, I'm told on authority that for many of you, it's becoming your favorite place. It's becoming your plug for ministry things. My studio audience agrees, but I want you to do something for me. I want you to consider and to agree with God to support this beautiful work that is going on. There are always resources that go into the production of anything like this, and we want you to support, to sow a seed. And I told you last week that there are two things here. One, you're supporting, and two, you're sowing a seed, because the sowing a seed part means that God is reaching out back to you with something.
Thank you.
But we want to ask you to support the show, to tie your ministry to this show. We believe that God is with us. This is coming to you because God has instructed us to do it. And we want you to be a part of that. So on the screen now, you see the numbers. For those of you who are in Ghana, you can use the first number above, which has Art of Shepherding written beneath it. And for those of you who are giving internationally, you can use the bottom number, which has the name Laureen Boateng beneath it. But I want you to give beautifully, generously. Let the Lord touch your heart. Give a generous donation to support this beautiful work. We want to continue to do a good job. Continue to support us. And I believe that God will bless you. Do consider doing it. It's a seed you are sowing. You are joining yourself to this beautiful ministry. And I believe that God will bless you. We'll take a break, quick break. And when we come back, we'll take some questions, comments, etc. from the audience. All right. Travel with me along the hillside and the sheep ranches as we discover together what true shepherding is. Psalm 20. Also available now in audio version on speakthewordaudio.com. The Art of Shepherding by Dag Heward-Mills, your guidebook on your exciting shepherding journey. So you're welcome back, and If you've just joined us, this is the Art of Shepherding Chatroom, and we are here talking about everything pertaining to the ministry and to shepherding. And tonight, we're talking about shepherding assignments from this book, The Art of Shepherding, by Bishop Edwin M OGOE. And we're talking tonight about the shepherding assignment to be gentle and tender. And if you have just joined us, you missed, because Bishop has just told us clearly that to be tender is not to be romantic. It's not to be romantic. Be careful. But at this point, it's a chat room, so we want to interact. We want to hear from other people. We have some people in the studio we want to hear from. So we're going to take a few questions, and we'll see how far we can go with the questions. Let's take our first question tonight. Hi. All right, just tell us your name and tell us your question.
Hi, I am Ayaba. Please, can you explain what young stands for in the context of shepherding sheep? And for how long must a Christian stay young? Thank you.
Wow.
Okay, so your question is about young, and I can understand, because as we are in the church, how do we define who is young in terms of our sheep? Is it just physical age? I don't believe so.
No. It's not physical age. Yeah. And young is a good word. It's a very good word. And what Jacob alluded to, he said the cattle are with young.
Young, that's right.
Young. And two things I want to say about the word young. Number one is that young is a very good word.
Yeah.
We must all believe God to be young. Forever.
Wow.
Young forever. Where the word young means to have energy, to have enthusiasm, to have zeal. When you say, somebody, that's a young group. They are young, there's youthfulness. Yeah. So all of us must aspire, the 30-year-olds and the 80-year-olds and the 60-year-olds, because God says he will renew our youth. Yeah. So constantly he is renewing our youth. So number one is that young is a good word.
Okay.
There's a sense where it's a good word. Number two, the word young is also a word we use to describe immaturity, which is what we are talking about.
Yeah.
These are the people you must be gentle and tender towards. Yeah. That is, he said, the cattle are with young. Yeah. In many areas, when we say young, we mean somebody who has not matured. Yeah. And our churches have immature people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the question is that how long must we be?
How do we determine who is
young?
How do you
determine who is young? Who is young? You know who is young by knowing who is immature.
Yeah.
Who is a child. And it's not 1 month being in Christ for a month or a year or 6 months. Yeah. It is for as long as you have not become spiritual. Yeah. Yes, as long as you've not become spiritual, we are going to treat you with kid gloves. Yeah. And a pastor has a responsibility to know those who are mature and relate with them in a certain way, and those who are immature. Those, and they are the ones we call young. Yeah. So if you read Hebrews 5, for instance, the writer of Hebrews talks about a time when you ought to be a teacher. Yeah. When you are not a teacher, rather you need someone to teach you. Hebrews 5:12. Yeah. Right there, you are looking at somebody who is young. Yeah. So anybody who is not carrying somebody along, helping someone in his or her Christian walk, is young. Yeah. Whether he's been in church for 20 years or 10 years or 2 months, that chronological time is not what we use here. Yeah. We know you are still young, and therefore we must be careful how we talk to you. I've got church members who have been in church for 15 years, 20 years, 7 years, When I relate to them, I'm very nice to them.
Yeah.
Oh, your dress is nice. Your son, where did you get your shoes from? Wow. I always have accolades and superlatives.
Yeah.
I treat them with tenderness.
Yeah.
Because I can't ask the person why you are not in church. I didn't see you at the prayer meeting.
That's right.
We've been fasting for 2 weeks. I've not seen you in the evenings. What is wrong with you? Are you no? When I see you, how is life? Oh, really? I've not seen you never. Did you travel? No, I've been in town. Wow. How's your husband? Oh, how's your wife? Yeah. Because I know this person has not even developed spiritually enough to even carry anybody along, to even teach somebody. Yeah. When someone is in a church and has not even taught, doesn't teach others, anyone who doesn't teach others is young. Yeah. And you must be gentle with the person. You don't rebuke such persons. You are not hard towards them. Yeah. And also, people in the church who are unspiritual. Yeah. They are young. Yeah. They are children. Yeah. In 1 Corinthians 3, verse 1, Paul was saying that I wanted to write to you or speak to you as spiritual people. Yes. 1 Corinthians 3:1. And I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in Christ. So young, baby, child, they are all one and the same. Unspiritual. When you meet somebody in the church, and then you see, that's why a pastor must know his members. Yes. You must know them. Yeah. You must relate with them. Yeah. You must know that this person is unspiritual. Yeah. This person is a carnal Christian. Yeah. The person hasn't been able to shed off the stigmata of carnality. Yeah. Is in the church, chasing girls, clubbing, has not even been able to get unbeliever songs from his phone. Comes to church once in a month, appears. Those people are young. They are children. Yeah. They may be 48 or 62. But spiritually, they are babies. It's interesting that in this verse, 1 Corinthians 3:1, Paul equates babies with carnality and to unspirituality. Yeah. So that is it. How long can a person be young? The person, for as long as the person is unspiritual, he's young. And we have them. You can't cleanse the church of unspiritual people. You can't drive out carnal Christians from the church. They are a part of the church. A church is a hospital where sick people are. The day you find everyone spiritual, it means Christ has come. You're actually in heaven.
Wow, beautiful. The day you find everybody mature, means Christ has come.
So young is somebody who is not helping anyone to develop, somebody who is not mature, somebody who is carnal and unspiritual. And if you are a pastor and you are indeed close to your members, you will know. I mean, somebody who doesn't pay tithes is young, it's a child, it's unspiritual. And such people need tenderness and gentleness. One day they will mature. Even our children, not every child begins to speak or crawl at the time prescribed.
At all.
No.
At all.
No. Some are late developers.
They develop differently.
So till that time, be gentle and be tender with them.
There's something that you said which I picked up, which is that this subject we're talking about requires a shepherd to know his sheep very well. Which is something I also picked up, that the shepherd, and much like a parent who understands that with this boy, I need to yell at him to sit up. With this one, I need to sit down with him and talk with him and encourage him to sit up. Yes. I'm trying to achieve the same thing, but I'm approaching the two of them differently. So it requires a shepherd to actually know the sheep, know what makes each of them tick, know what level they are at, and not just approach people in a blanket fashion, because that's also something we are guilty of.
Thank you.
That, sometimes we just call everything, we call a big meeting and just fire it, and we just issue it like a radio station. But that's not the way to do it, Each one of our members, every sheep that is under us requires a particular way of being approached, a particular way of being handled. With the same issue, trying to achieve the same thing, you approach two people very differently based on the levels at which they are. And I really picked up on that you really need to know the sheep.
You need to know them. If you don't know the sheep, you won't know who is sensitive, who you must treat with care. And with harshness and with severity and severeness, if there's a word like that, we've driven them out. Immaturely, we've killed them. So that is a very important assignment, to know who is young among them and among your sheep, and be gentle. Be gentle. What you will ask Esau to do, don't let Jacob do it, because Jacob has a young with him.
Beautiful. Well, I think we can take a few more questions. Let's have a next question. We have another question in the audience. Yes, let's hear.
Hi, Bishop. I am Honam. And personally, I'm being blessed by your insightful teaching. So my question is, how does being gentle and tender as a shepherd affect the lives of young ones?
How does being gentle
and tender as a shepherd affect the life of the young ones?
Because, you see, there's a rule book. There's a rule book from which we get the rules, and that's the Bible. And one of the rules is that you must be, I don't know how to put it, you must be to a person what he is. So it's your responsibility to know who or what a person is, and you relate with the person at that level. So Paul says in 1 Corinthians 9, for instance, he said, to the weak, I became weak.
That's right.
So when you see a weak person, you become weak.
Yeah.
When you see a weak person, you shouldn't be strong. Yeah. That's a law in the rule book. Yeah. Which is coming back to the point you are making, that it's important to know your members. Because a shepherd cannot be strong to a weak person. 1 Corinthians 9:22. To the weak became I as weak. He said, and I have become all things to all men.
All men, that's right.
That I might by all means save some. So if you really want to save your members, if you want to save a believer, you must know if the person is strong, you must be strong. If the person is weak, you must also be weak. So that's the answer to your question, my sister. It's important to know when somebody is young, the person is weak. That is when you must be tender and gentle. Later you will meet somebody who is strong, and then you apply other ways of shepherding, other shepherding skills.
Lovely. I'm trying to take the questions rapid fire. We have another question in the audience somewhere. Yes, my brother. Ask your question.
Please, my name is Darlington. Bishop, I want to ask, does the shepherd consider the personal situation of the sheep in order to determine whether to be hard or be soft?
That's a good one. But I also think it's along that
Yes, when you so that's a good question.
Yes.
Esau was talking to a mature supplanter, a mature trickster. Do you see? Yeah. I'm coming. Clap your hands for this question. Beautiful question.
Mature supplanter.
So meeting someone is not enough. Coming back to the point again, know your sheep. Know their personal circumstances. Because see, somebody can be strong, like Jacob, a hard guy, but his personal circumstances had young ones with him. So it's important to consider even a person's life. There are meetings I have called and asked everyone to come. And by the side, I've called certain individuals and said, don't come. Don't come, because I am aware of the person's personal circumstances. So if you are a shepherd or a pastor and you are distant from your members, you will treat people you see as what you are seeing. Yeah. But a pastor treats his members in a context. Yeah. His personal life is very important.
Yeah, you are spot on. I think that sometimes people have a history. Yes. People have something in the background. They've experienced something and it affects them, and it affects how they relate, and definitely also affects how they see everything that is being done to them.
Exactly.
And so, it's important that...
And I mean, when I look at myself, I'm a pastor.
Yeah.
I've been a pastor for a few years.
Few decades, more like it.
But there have been times in my life I've needed to be treated with tenderness because of a problem I'm in.
At that time,
Yes. And at that time, I've seen differences. People who saw me from afar and didn't know what I was going through treated me like the strong man I am. But those who knew me and who knew what I was going through were tender and gentle. They say, oh, you know something? Take care of this problem. Don't come. Don't do this. Are you sure you can come? So I'll try and come. So it's very important, really. And I'm very happy that this question came, that we must not see Jacobs as Jacobs alone. Have an eye for the things around Jacob, and you will learn to be a good pastor.
Okay. I have a little more time, so I want to take a few more questions. Let's take another question. There was another question in the audience.
Hi, Bishop.
Yeah, okay.
My name is Enoch. And I want to ask from the scripture you quoted in Genesis chapter 33, verse 13.
Right.
That how can you help me understand what it means to overdrive sheep?
Okay. Genesis 33, 13. He said, let's read the verse again. And he said unto him, my Lord knoweth that the children are tender, and the flocks and herds with young are with me. If men should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. So that's a very important question. What does it mean to overdrive? A shepherd must not overdrive. To overdrive means to let somebody bear and carry more than he or she can. Yeah. To overdrive means to force somebody beyond the limit he can bear. And everybody has limits. Yes, everybody. I mean, if you know a member who is taking care of his young children because his wife is not well, you can't ask that person to come for an all night. Forcing him to come for an all night, it means that you are overdriving the person. You know, when you overdrive a person, it means you are not even aware of his personal circumstances. And I'll tell you that it is very important that we know our sheep and we know our members, because when you overdrive a person, you will kill the person. A lot of sheep are dead because we gave them more than they could carry. Jesus talked about the scribes, that they put on people too much that they are not even prepared to carry. So it's very important that we must drive the sheep. But to overdrive means that you are pushing the person to do more. Too much more than the person can. You are making contributions for a project in the church, or we are gathering money for something, and you have levied everybody X amount. You should know that this person, if I force him to find money, I may be sending him to go and steal.
That's right. Very true.
Do you see? And that is overdriving.
Yeah.
And in the end, sheep have been overdriven to their death. And it calls for a need to be aware of the personal circumstances.
Yeah.
And the issues they are going through, so that you titrate or you measure your demands against their difficulties they are already in. Otherwise, they will die.
I think that we can't. I'm hearing over and over again the importance of knowing our members individually.
Yes.
And I'm seeing that more and more this shepherding thing is not a mass business.
No.
It's got to be individual. It has to be person by person.
No.
And I like the scripture you quoted from Paul, because then a shepherd has to learn to be different things to be different people. You know, to look at one person with a stern face, rebuke the person, turn to the very next person and approach the person with a tender smile, with niceness, overlook the person somewhere. You can have two people who've done the same thing that is wrong, but you approach them very differently. For one person, hey, it's okay, Charlie, next time we'll try and do our best. But for the other person, no, I will not accept this from you, because you know that they are at very different levels and they need very, very different things. So that's very important right there.
Yeah.
I told you tonight was going to be awesome. Beautiful. It's beautiful.
And just to buttress the point you are making, Psalm 23, David said, "The Lord is my shepherd."
Beautiful.
The Lord is not our shepherd.
Our shepherd. Lovely.
A pastor can never take away the individualness of his pastoral skills. There's nothing. It's only cocoa that you do mass spraying. Mass spraying of cocoa. You cannot mass spray sheep. You cannot mass care for sheep.
Yeah.
You cannot give every sheep the same dosage.
Yeah.
You must know that every sheep has what we call a BMI, body mass index, the weight of the sheep, the height of the sheep. Every sheep has his spiritual weight, spiritual height, and you use that to measure the medicine to give the sheep. The Lord is my shepherd, not the Lord is our shepherd.
It's beautiful, and I think that we cannot emphasize this point enough, because so often I come across shepherds who feel that just having meetings, sending WhatsApp messages on group pages is enough, and it's the shepherding work. I mean, I see that so often. There's so many times I've called people aside and said, listen, the message you sent on the page, you can't do that. First of all, you can't speak to the people like that, and second,